I wanted to take a look this week at a song I've been working on. It's pretty simple, and that's kind of the thing that I wanted to talk about. When you're writing beats and producing, you don't need to overcomplicate it, and it's something that I've really been struggling with the last couple of weeks. I've been getting in my head and struggling to write music. I think what I'm doing is overcomplicating things. Let's jump into FL Studio and take a look and have a talk through how I built this beat, and hopefully it will help as some inspiration for me, but also for you guys in seeing that you don't have to overcomplicate things. Let's get into it. Okay, so this is the beat here. I'll just play you a quick little preview of the end section, and then we'll talk about how I built the beat. There you go, so that's just like a little taster of how this beat sounds. And just looking at the project here, you can see there isn't actually too much going on. We've got a couple of piano layers, a couple of really simple guitar layers, and then bass, a couple of ambient sounds and drums. And that's pretty much it. Didn't want to overcomplicate this beat. So I started this beat the same way I start almost all of my beats, and that is with a piano chord progression. I see this as like the real core of any beat. I struggle to get started without this. So we've just got here a really simple sort of downwards moving chord progression. I've got nothing happening on that piano. I've got no effects at all. This is just the Imagero Piano 2 plugin. I've turned the tone down to about -7 to give it that warmth that I like to use in my sound. And that's pretty much it for the piano. After the piano, I then introduce this drone sound, and that kind of eases you into the track at the start, so you get this drone. Just an EQ on there, rolling off the highs. And that plays throughout the entirety of the song. Once I had those, I then built the intro out. So I then built this sort of guitar arpeggiating pattern. Super simple, just sticking to our D major scale, playing a 1 and a 5 and a 1 and a 4, I think there. I've got an EQ focusing in on sort of like a radio frequency there, just those middles. And then I've got Solaris just adding a little bit of shimmer in the higher end. So not too much, but just adding like a nice kind of dreamy ambience onto the intro. I did a little bit of automation here. So I've got a master channel that just eases in. And then I've got exactly the same that guitar sound as well. So this is how our intro sounds at the moment. So you get kind of a nice bit of high register from the guitar, a nice bit of ambient kind of feeling from the drone, and then those pianos come in at the real kind of focal element there. The final piece to the intro here is I've got this tremolo pad sound from Labs, and that's just the Labs fast trems on the lap steel. It's just playing this kind of background ambience sound. Just to kind of add a little bit of movement because that drone is so static. We've just got an EQ focusing on the middle frequencies, a 70% mix Valhalla Supermassive, adding a ton of reverb and washing the sound out. Then again, I've just got a automation on the gain, brings that pad in slowly. So if I just play it from here, you should be able to hear it. building the feeling and the emotion of the track there with that kind of washed out tremolo sound. And then we go into what is kind of the first hook of the song. We start to bring in our bass and our drums, but we'll talk about those in a second. Before that, let's take a look at the melodic elements that I introduced. So I introduced a really simple second piano layer. And that's just kind of backing up the chords, adding like an extra higher frequency to those chords. So you now get. And then you can hear that there's a fair bit of reverb and shimmer that's coming through there. So we've got a whole octave higher on about 50% mix and a ton of reverb, just giving that shimmer that comes through after the piano hits. And then there is a very simple piano arp or piano, I don't know what you call this, piano double note thing happening. Again, just adding to that higher register of the track. At the moment, everything in the intro was sitting kind of low frequencies, middle frequencies. We didn't have too much up high, building that layers out, and that's going to play really nicely with that guitar art that's happening. And we just got an EQ rolling off the lows to stop it being too muddy. And then I actually put some tape cassette on this, turned all the noise and all the wow down, and just added a little bit of flutter and a little bit of saturation to give it a nice kind of warmth to this sound. So with all of our pianos, all of our intro instruments, we get a much more fuller sounding track. Then the instrument that really drives this track forward at this point is a guitar melody. And you'll see here it's split in two. That's because I introduce it just before everything comes in. If we just listen to how the guitar sounds on its own. So just super simple. This is a really slow kind of ambient track, and I wanted to keep it like that. I didn't want the guitar to come in and just be doing absolutely too much and going kind of crazy. So I kept it simple, and that just really kind of backs up the vibe of the track. Processing on this guitar, we've got some EQ focusing on the middle frequencies, those warm frequencies in the mid and the lows. And then I've got Solaris on about 50%, 110 nice big reverb, and no real shimmer, just adding that nice reverb to the guitar sound. So if I just play this, you hear how it comes in and then how the drop comes in. But before we do that, let's just add in the bass. And this is really simple. We're just playing the root notes of those chords, playing the Opia sub bass from Labs, one of my favorite bass plugins. If you haven't got it, it's free. Go and check it out. Now, with all of our guitar layers, all of our piano layers, and our bass, we get this full sounding section when everything comes in together. Then it was time to build some drums, and as you can see here, I kept the drums really sparse. We've got a really simple kick pattern. Not too much going on at all, tons of space. And then I've got my snares hitting on the 1 and the 3 every single time. And then I did this little kind of echo here where every single second snare has just a little echo with a really low velocity there. Just to add a little bit of something to it, and then a super simple hi-hat pattern. And then if we add everything else back in that we already had, super simple, and just got those like moving ambiences from those tremolos in the background, just adding a really nice movement and kind of keeping the flow of the track going. And then the track stays like that for about 8 bars. And then I started breaking it down into a sort of bridge section. And for that part, I introduced another guitar line that it plays this nice kind of guitar melody. So I use that in this B section to separate from the main hook. And then I used that intro part of the guitar again there, just to kind of let the listener know that they're moving into a different section. So you get the 2 guitars and the pianos all kind of playing together. And then you move into another section with pretty much just the piano playing before everything comes back in. This is the real break of the song. And I did tweak the chords ever so slightly here, just so you get a little bit of variation. The final thing that I added in this B section was this synth ARP that I've called it. And this is a Tibertron synth ARP from Citrus. It's a sound that I've never used before, but I thought it kind of fitted in this, and I used it as sort of like a transition from the B section to the final section. So it's just playing a really simple ARP. If you follow my music, you know that I love adding these ARP layers to my tracks. Sounds super weird and really lovely. And then I just got an EQ rolling off the harsh high frequencies. I've got a bit of reverb on there, fairly wet signal coming through. And then I got a limiter on. I don't know why I've got a limiter on. I don't think it's doing anything. And that just plays through the rest of the B section and rises up into the final kind of hook section, the outro of the song. So we'll play that from here. And I've automated it here to rise up. Here you go, transitioning you into the final section. And then the rest of the track just plays this outro with everything playing together, and then finally it fades out towards the end. Just a really nice kind of simple but effective ambient lo-fi track, and I think it all came together super nicely. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I say, it's all of the different elements play together really nicely, and you get this really effective track from it. And I think just by adding those like little movement sections where I've got the second guitar line in the bridge, that really kind of separates the hook, you know, separates a loop essentially into a B section, and then where you've got that synth up that plays through the B section and transitions you into the final section. I think those are some really nice ideas, and maybe things that I've not been utilizing enough in the beats that I've been struggling to make recently. So yeah, it's been really fun to dig into this track that I made a couple weeks ago, and hopefully it's helpful for you guys to see how I make these tracks. If you do like the sound of this track is out now, 16th of Feb. I think that's the day this video will go live, so this track is out now. It's called Subliminal. It's on all streaming platforms everywhere. So yeah, go and check it out if you like the sound of this. And yeah, super fun track to make. If you made it this far, pop a comment on this video, let me know your favorite tips for getting over writer's block or beat block. Let's use this as a hub where people can come to and get tips from all kinds of different artists. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I say, this track is out now. Go and stream it everywhere. Peace.